What's good, guys? I'm just going to be giving you a little trade recap for the trade that we took this morning. I'm not going to lie, this morning definitely could have been tricky for you if you were learning, especially as a continuation trader. You could have got caught up in maybe the first 10 or 15 minutes of market open. So I'm going to explain why that is on the charts here. We'll just get straight into it. So coming into the morning, the first thing I'm looking at, I always chart on NQ first and then go look at ES. So I'm looking at NQ first, and I would say the most reasonable target coming in today were these 4-hour highs. They are in a fair value gap, but we're really bullish on the higher time frame. We're coming up toward all-time highs, and I just feel like this was the best target. But I always like to mark out some lower stuff. So I had this gap marked out, and this was also an hourly low and a gap here, just because we might want to retrace before coming up to those highs. And as a continuation trader, I want to go along with the trend. So even though I think we're bullish, I'm not going to lock myself into that bias. If we are coming down, like on the 5-minute, 15-minute, if it's trending nicely toward the downside, I'll look to trade toward a reasonable higher time frame target. I just got to take what the market gives me. So I had those marked out as well. I marked out like something up here near all-time highs. And then coming onto the hourly, I marked out one more high here and then the entry to this gap. So like I said, the main thing we were focused on was coming up to this, and then next would be these two levels here, and potentially if we're looking to retrace, I would maybe look for something shorts, but it just depends what the market gave me. Coming on to the S&P now, as you'll see, that same high over here that we took out on NQ had already been taken out on the S&P, and we're also inside this massive gap, but we're still really bullish and we're still relatively close to all-time highs. So longs were reasonable as well, but I would say it was slightly more reasonable to look for shorts on the S&P. Now, this is kind of conflicting and sometimes kind of difficult because they're supposed to be really highly correlated. So when we have stuff like this, you want to be careful because this already took this draw out on the S&P. NQ hadn't taken out this draw, so you might get conflicted on your bias or caught up in one's looking to go long while one's looking to go short, which that's why you might have got cooked this morning, because I would say there was both reasonable targets above and below, which can become pretty difficult. So I'll show you the areas I had marked out, but we'll go over to NQ to get into the trade that we actually took. So coming into the day, hold on, I gotta skip forward a little bit. I hate the bar replay, bro. I much prefer any backtesting site, but whatever. Okay. So coming into market open, it was this candle here. So after the first 10 minutes of market open, you'll see that NQ looked like it just wanted to come higher. Even off these first few candles, it's coming higher, it's chopping a little bit, but the movements are definitely higher, and ES is totally doing the opposite thing. Now, if they're making the same movements, but on different levels of the chart, if they're making the exact same movements but ES is way up here and NQ's down here, that's not really the biggest deal. But what's weird is sometimes they'll just totally move differently. ES is making straight down candles and down wicks, and NQ's kind of doing the opposite. So this could definitely be difficult because on NQ you might be trying to long, while on ES you could be trying to short, and those are both, I would say, relatively reasonable. But the way we can avoid getting caught up in that is just by not trading. Until the two become more correlated, we just want to avoid taking a trade, because I've seen so many times, and this has happened to myself, I took a trade when they were uncorrelated, and I think, oh, I should have taken the trade on the S&P because that was the right one, or based on the S&P sentiment, or I should have taken the trade based on NQ because that was the correct one today. But there really is no way to know. You could say that you should have taken the other one, but you didn't even know which one was going to be correct. So the best thing to do is when they're uncorrelated, just avoid both of them until they start to become correlated. So once I saw that they were uncorrelated, I won't lie, I whipped out my phone and I was sitting on TikTok until I started seeing some better movements. So I'll play another 5-minute candle. You'll see that we instantly came up, took out the main target for the day. So now I had higher targets. Obviously, if we wanted to continue way higher, I'd be open to that. And at this point, the S&P, I think, started to, it's being weird here, but the S&P also started to create some higher price action. You'll see it's starting to go up, even though it edged that fair value gap. So once we got this 5-minute candle, this pretty much confirmed for me that we wanted to come up to these highs. But I won't lie today, since they were slightly uncorrelated at the beginning, and we had a no news Monday and it was a little bit choppy, I pretty much avoided my top steps, like top step accounts after the first 10 minutes, unless we got really clean price action. I don't think that this was the cleanest ever, but it was still good. So I was willing to take the trade on my alpha futures, just not on my top step accounts. So I was able to catch this trade still. And we will play a few more forward. We just kind of continued to like chop a little bit in here. I guess you could have maybe took this entry up to these highs. You know, you could have been like, this is a strong move up, retrace displacement, but the problem with this is like your break even point is right here. So either you would have got break evened right there, or you would have tried to like hold through the 7 o'clock news. And I don't know, this is just like, it was right before news. This just wasn't really something I wanted, but this isn't a terrible entry. I guess I probably would have just got break even on this. But playing it forward a little bit, once the news hit, and I will go on to the 5 minute here, you'll see that off of this candle, we tapped into a 5 minute fair value gap below, and this is like a great sign for continuation. Like again, on pretty much every time frame, you can see this over and over again. With a good trend, we always get this like move up, down, retrace, and then if we get a slight invalidation, then that's when I want to enter. You know, I want to be catching this here up to the next point, assuming the trend continues. So after we got that, obviously the 1 minute's not super clean here, but once we got that 5 minute retrace into the gap, which was off of this candle here, then I just wanted to see some good moves up for us to potentially trade off of. So it was this candle here was kind of the confirmation that we wanted to come higher to me. Like I said, 1 minute's not super clean, but on the 5 minute, you'll see we tapped into that 5 minute gap, started rejecting the move. And then if I come on to ES here, you'll see not perfect, but kind of making the same idea. Like, so at least they're making the same candles, and it's starting to get like this almost good move, potentially a break out of the range. So like I said, not my favorite, and that's why I avoided the top steps, but still not a bad trade at all. And I got a miserable entry. I tried to enter off of this candle close, but I got tapped in, I swear, like up here or something, and then I was targeting about 25 points, and stop loss was right below this leg. So 1-to-1 on this, and I was looking to potentially go break even off of that. And you'll see first candle went up there, small leg down, didn't quite hit the break even. See, this is why you wait until confirmation to go break even. Otherwise you would have got break even on this. I guess depends on your entry, but we went straight to TP. Literally this candle like instantly teleported. I was trying to get out my phone so I could record the trade and show the proof in the video, but I wasn't able to because I was getting out my phone, and this just like went straight to TP. Wasn't even able to set a break even. So that ended up being the trade. I'll show you the proof on my alpha ticks here. There's just the $500 profit, nothing crazy, just on the one account. So definitely not the cleanest day, I won't lie. Like we're able to find a good entry, but through this chop, I wouldn't really recommend taking, you know, too many trades. You kind of want to avoid this. So if you didn't trade today, definitely don't get down on yourself. Like you don't want to build terrible habits. I think that I was able to find a good entry using my discretion, and as a trader, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to yourself to use your own discretion and figure out what you want to take. But I thought that this was a good enough entry. You know, I managed my risk well, and I took it on my slightly riskier account, so I wasn't really like, it wasn't really too crazy to me. But definitely if you avoided trading today, don't feel bad, because this was a day that was very avoidable. You know, it's a no news Monday, and we have a lot of news this week, so there probably is going to be a ton of opportunity. So if you did make it to the end of the video, I appreciate you watching, and I've got a lot of support recently, and I greatly appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm willing to DM you. Maybe we could jump on a Discord call if you really need help. Just message me and we'll see what we can do. So thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.